Hi, I'm Kim Jamieson-Hirst at Chatterbox Quilts, and today I want to show you how to thread paint a scene. Now this was something that I saw online and I thought I would try it for myself, and here's my first attempt. So what I did with this is I used the same color thread all the way through, and after I looked at it I thought, you know what, I think I would like to make a few changes, not the least of which is thread colors. So I do like the black and white kind of thing that's going on here, but I thought it would be better if I did some of these areas, like here with the stones, the trees, the moon, in a dark thread, like a black maybe, or just kind of an off black. Some of these are kind of off black. And then do the background quilting here with something lighter. So it kind of fades away into the distance, so it isn't as prominent as the trees and the rocks and the moon, which are the things that I want to be the focal points in this particular project. So I pulled out some threads here, and I'm looking at different ones here and what I might want to do, you know, which ones I might want to put together, but I want to make sure I've got enough of a contrast between them. So I think I'm going to go with what I've got that's the lightest and what I've got that's the darkest, and work with those two threads. So the black, again, we'll be using on the trees, the moon, the pebbles, and then the gray I'll be using for the background quilting. Now, a couple things I wanted to point out to you, something else that I would change, is when I looked at this, I wasn't happy with this line here, okay, the horizontal line. I thought it was up a little high. I wanted it a little bit lower. And also the pebbles that I did in here, I like that I have a variety in sizes. That's always really interesting. But some of them look a little bit too kind of rectangle or squarish. So I thought I would change that a little bit if I can the next time I go to do this. So let's take a look at what I'm going to be working with this time. So I have the same kind of outline here, but I have made this lower. And I haven't added my moon yet because I wanted to show you how I did that. But I also wanted to talk about what I used to draw these reference lines. So when you're doing something like this, you may want to put in reference lines. I needed to know where my trees were going to be at a minimum and this vertical, I should say horizontal line at the bottom. I'm not going to draw in all the pebbles. I don't need to do that. But just something to give me the shapes of where things are going to be. And I've used a Frixion pen. This is actually Frixion Colors. So if you're not familiar with these, they're like markers. They have a softer tip than some of the other Frixion pens. So check up above or in the description below because I'll put a link to these. I like using these. And I'm going to be stitching over these, so I'm not really worried if they don't completely go away. I know they will when I put heat on them, but if you haven't used them before, just know that when they get cold, when your fabric gets cold, the Frixion pens can pop up again, but they will disappear once the fabric warms up. So just a little bit of a PSA on that one. Now, what did I use for the moon? Well, I used this. I don't know if it's a little sake cup or what exactly it is, but I got it at the thrift store. There was a set of them, of 3 or 4 of them, I think. They're from Pier 1, apparently. So I just used that, right? So I just kind of placed it. I didn't want it, you know, kind of right centered here. I wanted it off a little bit here, but I wanted to make sure I had a little bit of room to go around to stitch around them with my background stitching. So I just put it down and I just traced around it. Try to angle my marker in towards it a bit, and I know I've got an errant mark there, but that's okay. So, you know, you have my permission to go to the thrift store and start picking up things that have circular designs in them, because you never know when you might need something like that on a quilt project. Okay, so now I've got all my reference lines drawn, and it's time to do some stitching, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go along with this horizontal line. By the way, I have my quilt sandwich already set up with my backing and batting a little bit bigger than my top. So I'm going to do this first, and that's going to be with my black thread, and then I'm going to continue on and do the trees and the moon because I've got the black thread in the machine. So let's go to the machine, let's take a look at what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to explain some of the pebbles and how I did those trees so they look like birch trees as well. So I'm ready to start with that horizontal line, and what I've done is I've actually turned my piece sideways because I can, and that'll make it easier for me to stitch along here and easier for you to see as well. So let's get started here. So one thing is these lines I've drawn or guidelines are going to be removed afterwards. If I tend to wander off them a bit, perfectly okay. It'll look weird when you see the stitching on it before I remove the lines, but once they're removed, everything will be fine. you probably noticed, although I didn't mention, that I'm free motion quilting. All right, so when I'm doing the thread painting, I am free motion quilting with my sewing machine. And so I am just going along at my own pace. You probably noticed I turned the speed control down a little bit because it was a little quick at the beginning. But we now have our horizontal line stitched down with the black. And the next thing is to go up into the tree. So I'll do at least one tree for you to show what to do to get that kind of birch tree look. So let's start with the center tree. Okay, and again, I'm going to switch things around here, a little easier for you to see. So as I go up the tree, or up this line, which is the tree, I'm going to be doing the back and forth things to add those little marks. It's going to make it look like a birch tree. So you see that I like to make a couple of lines, okay, a longer one and a shorter one. I go back and forth, go down a little bit, go back and forth again. The lines don't have to be over top of each other when I'm going out and back, but a lot of times they do for me anyway. All right, so I have one side of the tree done here. I'm not breaking my thread because I'm just going to carry across to the other side of it because I need to do that one as well. So I'll do that because I'm on my batting, so that's fine. And then we would start on the other side of the tree and do a similar thing. And I knew I'd get caught. I'm caught on my foot here. There's the disadvantage of an open toe foot. That may happen sometimes. We'll just get that up out of the way. Start again. There we go. And I try when I'm doing the opposite side to not have them exactly match up. Some of them are around the same across from each other, that is, but you don't have to do that. And it looks probably better if you don't. Alright, so now I have finished one of the trees. Alright, and so now I could continue on doing the other one. So because I have the next one close by, I would just continue to do it and come back down, and then I would have to do the other ones separately. So that's what I would do next. And because I'm already in the tree area, and then I could go back down and do the pebbles. So let's pretend that I've done the trees already. Just tie off here. But before I go into the pebble area, let's just take a look at that tree. You can see it all here. I think it looks pretty cool, pretty easy to do the look of a birch bark tree, right? Okay, so pebbles. I can start wherever I want with the pebbles. Doesn't have to be at the edge. And as a matter of fact, I probably will start more towards the center on this one and then move out and kind of around. So I want to make these fairly roundish. I want to make them in different sizes as well. All right, so this is what we've got so far with our pebbles. So that's working out okay, I think. And I would continue doing that and filling in the whole bottom area. But we also have a moon to work with, right? So let's go up and work on that moon shape, which is just a circle, of course. So when I'm working on the moon, I want to slow down a little bit and try and get this as curvy as possible. Okay, now it gets hard to quilt when I'm going backwards. So I'm going to turn around and go forwards because it's a small piece. I can do that. Okay, so we've got to fill in pebbles, we've got to fill in trees, but we also have to fill in the background, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the trees so that's where the background mostly goes. So I'm going to do the trees so you can see what that background's going to look like against that black thread, because there should be quite a contrast now. I finished the trees and I also finished the pebbles. So I'm liking the look of these better than the previous ones. Now it's time to do the background stitching. So I've changed my thread to this gray because I want to see what it looks like if I have the gray in the background quilting against that black in my focal area. So I'm just going to start in the center area here. All right, so this is what we're looking like so far. It's looking good. I'm going to keep going and fill this in. So I've got version 2 all done, but before I show it to you, I just want to ask you, are you a subscriber to my Chatterbox Quilts YouTube channel? If not, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. Let's see what version 2 looks like. Here's version 1, and here's version 2 with the 2 thread colors. And I'm really liking this. I think it's much more effective than having all the same colors. So if you're interested in thread painting, you can do that by simple free motion quilting. Now, if you're wondering how I did this background quilting, which is called E's and Threes, don't worry, I got you covered. Check out this video that has all the information that you need. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.